Digimon Story Time Stranger just dropped a 4-minute anime short that acts as a prequel to the events of the game. Much like the game itself, it is beautiful, well-paced, emotional, and is just pure Digimon. What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to another Time Stranger video, and this is awesome. Also, I want to thank Lupus Digital Lichlord for becoming a Fang Longmon, the Golden God tier patron over on patreon.com/Karn EX. Thank you for supporting these videos. Yeah, this week Digimon dropped the Digimon Story Time Stranger Prelude, a short anime film. I guess you could say it's 4 minutes long. It's not an OVA, covering events from before Digimon Story Time Stranger began a few years back. It was teased by showing us a short-haired Inori and a boy that looks an awful lot like Agumon. And that's kind of the first thing, is that this is mostly for people that have already played the main story of the game. And probably, honestly, some side quests too that I haven't got to yet, but I will be getting to in my streams, which I'm still currently doing. You'll probably see those popping up still for the rest of the month on your feed. So spoiler warning, of course, but I'm going to really load the heavy spoilers and implications to the end of the video, and I will give you a big spoiler warning there. So we begin with a shot of the Misono household, and it looks incredibly similar to what we see in the game, but of course Inori is much younger with short hair, and we see that poster, of course, that we always have in the background of the show Agent Alpha. Inori gets a text from her brother implying he went to go see the Agent Alpha movie, and thanks Inori for getting him the tickets. Clearly, Agent Alpha is hugely popular with the Misono family and beyond, and here we see Inori's brother Yu in that yellow hoodie and grey pants with Inori's mother. But suddenly, a rift, a portal, a gate opens in the human world. Yu is of course very interested in this as a young kid and sees the golden Digi-Egg fall from the sky. And this is our first minor spoiler segment. That golden Digi-Egg falling from the sky, because of the timey-wimey shenanigans, appears to be Ageomon's egg that hatches as an Elecmon during the course of Digimon Story Time Stranger. It was kind of implied that it fell at the regular timeline when Inori is the age we meet her at, but it's even more interesting that the Digi-Egg actually seemed to appear a little bit further in the past on the day that something tragic happened for Inori. Suddenly black mist pours forth, and a horde of Tankmon, Dobamon, Sumemon, Goblimon, and much more Digimon, seemingly the Titans, pour forth into the world, but from rays of light come the angelic Digimon, likely the Digimon we see in Junomon's temple, /Angemon, Anjuwamon, Magna Angemon, and then breaking through it all, Machinedramon or Mugendramon, but also a friendly pair of cowboy boots. Of course, the theme of Digimon Story Time Stranger, Wherever You Are by Resh, plays over this, and it is such an emotionally poignant piece of music. It's truly phenomenal. I find myself listening to it all the time recently. Yu gets the egg just as a Kuwagamon comes chasing after him, but who comes to his aid but Deputymon, or as Yu sees it in a blink and you'll miss it moment, Agent Alpha. Yu sees this clearly as the hero he just saw on his screen immediately. Some really great animation continues here of the battle between the Titans and the, I don't want to say good Digimon, but the regular Digimon, some of the holy Digimon. And you can really clearly tell that this was animated by Wit Studio here, who are also going to be taking on the new version of One Piece, so obviously Bandai and Toei are putting in the big work on this one. But honestly, the animation of Angemon specifically really evokes the Adventure original 1999 style of animating to me. Deputymon and Yu run through the city. Yu is still holding the egg of the Great Guardian as an absolute brawl is breaking out in Shinjuku. Yu even tackles a Goblimon, and we get this great team-up moment solidifying that Deputymon and Yu are becoming a team, and then we see Yu's mother looking desperately for her son in the chaos. Machinedramon blasts, causing a devastation in Shinjuku, and then all turns red and destroyed as in front of Yu lies his dead mother. The tone shifts drastically here. This is no longer fun. This is something awful that is happening. This is a disaster, and Deputymon feels it too as Machinedramon approaches, telling Yuta to get out of there and that he'll buy some time. In this moment, when Deputymon becomes heroic, we see the red scarf he has flutter in the wind, implying that breeze of heroism. A hero has entered on the wind, which is a common theme in Japanese media of something blowing in on the breeze. A wind of change, if you will. And Deputymon steps up to fight, saying he'll fight for you and the family you've got waiting for you. Yu thinks about moments that he and his sister have shared, and we see them against backdrops that we're familiar with from Time Stranger, including the Misono household with the full complete family. This strengthens Yu's resolve, and we see the light of the egg shine, and basically Deputymon confirmed to be, admittedly not in words but by any other measure, Yu's partner Digimon. Inori's brother does indeed get a Digimon of his own, and Deputymon warp digivolves to Justymon, a hero. This game is very clearly inspired by Cyborg 009 and Kamen Rider. You can see it in the designs of the main characters and certain themes that go on throughout the game, but this is a straight up Kamen Rider reference, for better or worse. It's also really interesting that Yu of course has this outfit that, especially once Aegiomon wears his clothes in the main game of Time Stranger, really resembles Mameo or Analog Youth from Digimon World 1. And some people have said it's a bit of a reach that this is a Mameo reference, but I actually disagree, because now we have someone in an outfit very similar to that of Mameo's from Digimon World 1, and who's he facing up against in his first major battle with his Digimon partner? Machinedramon, Mugendramon, the big bad that sits atop Infinity Mountain in Digimon World 1. Feels pretty intentional. The battle between Machinedramon and Justymon is amazing, beautifully animated. Justymon delivers some really cool blows here. We even see some arm changes for Justymon, which I don't think are actually in Time Stranger, which seems like a huge shame. Maybe they'll patch them in or add them in DLC. And Yu even gets involved, throwing rocks at Machinedramon. He is not sitting idly by, he is helping his partner, and then Justymon rider kicks through Machinedramon, taking down the Titan. Yu is overjoyed, and if this was any other Digimon anime, if this was the beginning, the first episode of something like Beat Break, we'd have a great future. This partnership going on to have adventures, but instead, Titamon breaks through, hunting after the Great Guardian's egg. Justymon and Yu brace to fight him, but we then see a shot of the Great Guardian's egg in the rubble, before showing us a brighter future, Central Town, with Marukimon and the Bearmon brothers that we're going to meet in Time Stranger, Minervamon, Coronamon and Lunamon too, Volcanusmon forging the arms that become part of his boss fight later in the game, Shellmon crawling out of the ocean ready to heal that Divermon, who right now is still swimming under the ocean, Sirenmon comforting the drunkard Bacchusmon, and Junomon placing the egg of the Great Guardian, all before that title card of Digimon Story Time Stranger Prelude. And that final shot, which is an anime version of the anime we see at the start of Digimon Story Time Stranger before the camera pulls back to reveal the start of Time Stranger and Dan Yuki. So first of all, because of that, it does kind of seem like Dan Yuki is the intended protagonist, you could say. It's kind of funny that we do see in the anime Kanan too, which for reasons doesn't really make a ton of sense. I don't think anyone else ever sees Kanan in the narrative besides Dan, but yet this definitely posits Dan as the de facto character and Kanan is more of an option. We get the credits of course confirming that members of Wit Studio and Studio Lemon worked on this project, as well as Orange Animation and Creative Freaks, and that it was indeed presented by Toei and Bandai Namco. This is a joint project, as of course it's a Digimon animated media, it makes sense. With a final reminder that the game is available now and that there are versions you can purchase. So, I danced around it a little bit, where we're going to get into direct spoilers here, and bear in mind there are some side quests I haven't played, so if I miss anything, just because I haven't seen it yet. But yes, Inori confirms pretty early on in the narrative of Digimon Story Time Stranger that her brother and mother died. So that shot at the end there of Yu and Justymon lining up to fight Titamon, that is Yu's death, which is a huge shame, and we know it's coming, and I think that's what makes this whole anime short even more poignant and even more emotional. Can't escape from crossing fate. Sorry, couldn't help myself. It also confirms that of all Digimon, Titamon killed Inori's brother, meaning that there are moments in the game where Inori works and helps and even maybe forgives partially the murderer of her brother. But this short also answers something that I think is pretty important. When Deputymon digivolves to Justymon, it's almost like, in a very Digimon Beat Break way, that Yu uses the Digi-Egg of the Great Guardian, formerly known as Chronomon, as a sort of energy source in some way, as well as of course his own emotions, to warp digivolve Deputymon to Justymon, imbuing Justymon with those Agent Alpha, Kamen Rider, Tokusatsu hero vibes. But also that means that the egg in some way resonates with Yu's energy, and something that I actually found a little bit weird in Time Stranger is that when they depict Yu, he just looks like a human Aegiomon, but with brown hair, no horns, no satyr legs, and I was like, well, that seems a bit convenient, doesn't it? However, this short, and again there might be a side quest that also does it, really makes it much more sensible. As my opinion is this: the reason that the Great Guardian, instead of hatching back into a Hyokomon to become Chronomon, instead becomes an Elecmon and then an Aegiomon, is because of the influence of the people that protected him first in the human world. When that egg fell to the human world, Inori's brother Yu and his Justymon and Deputymon partner protected the egg, imbuing the egg with some of their data, some of their essence. So the red heroic scarf of Aegiomon Agiomon comes straight from Deputymon and Justimon. And the physical appearance and boyish looks and childish personality of Agiomon comes from you. You does not resemble Agiomon. Agiomon takes on the traits and the data of you. Agiomon, in part, is quite literally Inori's little brother, not just metaphorically. And if we extrapolate this idea that you and Justimon's data went into Agiomon, their hopes, their dreams, their emotions, this is probably why Dan so heavily resembles Agent Alpha, as you was such a big fan. Also lending credence to the idea that Dan is kind of the canon protagonist of the game, which is funny given that we also have Kanan. But the short hair of Kanan might be a little bit based on the short hair that Inori has in this time period. That might be me reaching, but I think thematically it works quite well. I absolutely loved this short. It adds so much context to Digimon Story Time Stranger, but most of the really spoilerific stuff is either very early game spoilers or only really a spoiler if you know what happens. So it's not a spoiler, it's more like additional context. I do not blame people for skipping most of this video or even skipping the end if you did, but I feel like a lot of people have played the game now or at least seen the main story. So I feel like this was worth talking about, and hopefully I provided enough spoiler warnings for you guys to get out of here. I have seen a few people questioning why this wasn't included in the game, and yeah, it could have been, but honestly, I don't feel like there was a great place to put it. If this played at the start of the game, it would be far too spoilerific for what's going on in the game. If it played at the key moment where you find out about the characters and the nature of them, I feel like that wouldn't work either. So I really feel like releasing this now, like 2 weeks after the game's been out, that a lot of people have played it and seen the story, it's kind of perfect, and it kind of acts as a way to hype up people that are still playing, keep them invested in the game, maybe buy some DLC if they haven't. That's going to be top priority for Bandai Namco, but also maybe entice people who haven't, who maybe have sat it out or Googled the spoilers and they're like, oh, that's really cool, that's really raw, let me go check out the game. We of course have much more to talk about with Digimon Story Time Stranger. This Sunday there will be a video on the DLC waves that we have got coming out in the future, probably December into September of next year, and I'm basically going to be mainly covering Time Stranger for the rest of October and some of November, plus then when the DLC starts ramping up, of course I'll be covering that, doing news videos, etc. Beat Break, custom art, it's all coming. Thank you so much to my Fang Longmon tier supporter, oh my gosh, over on patreon.com/Karn EX, Lupus Digital Lich Lord, incredible support there, cannot believe it, and my Sovereign ZDK14, Chaotic Prophet, and Jeremy Babineau. Thank you to all my other patrons. I'm starting to do some member and patron only exclusive content that will not perform well on YouTube, so I just want to put it out for you guys, hopefully a little bit of a reward for supporting the channel and keeping the channel a little bit more tidy for those that don't care about the riskier videos. And thank you as well to my YouTube channel members who also get access to that content on the Tamer tier and above. But also all of you patrons of any tier and YouTube channel members of any tier get early access to all my videos. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time when we go digital. Bye bye.